Secretary of State Marco Rubio joins us now. All right, Secretary, you were in the room this afternoon with President Trump, Zelensky, all the European leaders. Was there a big moment that happened?
Well, I think the whole thing was a big moment. Unprecedented, really, when you think about all these European leaders came here, 7 that were there, and that included the head of NATO and the head of the EU. And they all said the same thing, which is this, after 3 years of sort of deadlock and no talks and no change in circumstances, this is the first time where there seems to be some movement. Now, look, this is a complicated war. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
it's obvious they're going to end the war, in my opinion. I think it's obvious. Unless something really stupid happens, I would say the probability of this getting ended relatively soon is 80%, 90%.
Going on for 3.5 years, a lot of people have died, a lot of territories exchanged back and forth. So it's not an easy thing to unwind. But nothing was happening on this war. Literally, the only option that we were given under the previous administration was continue to fund Ukraine for however much they need, for however long it takes. And now you have people actually talking about pathways towards ending it. Now, it's going to take a little bit more work and a little bit more time, but we are making progress. It's not me saying it. That is virtually every leader there today said that in front of the cameras.
Well, most importantly, it's Putin that's able to come and meet and talk about ending it. And also Zelensky, who's willing to meet with Putin. Zelensky wasn't even willing to meet with them previously. I think that for sure that it's basically over. I think that both sides are probably at a certain point. I think this is a war that nobody won. Ukraine isn't winning. Russia isn't winning. They're both losing.
Saying it for a reason, because it's true and they're witnessing it and they've been a part of it.
So these European nations, and some of these are NATO countries, are they willing to put troops on the ground in Ukraine to cement this peace deal? Would that make Ukraine kind of like a NATO ally?
That's a big one.
What's being contemplated, look, any sovereign country in the world has a right to enter into security alliances with other countries. It's not just NATO. We have such alliances with South Korea. We have it with Japan. Other countries have it with each other. And so I think everyone would acknowledge, including, by the way, for the first time, the Russian side.
Russia's obtaining all their stated goals. I think that what I think the outcome of this will be is that Russia will probably legally be given Crimea and maybe some other small thing. And then that way Putin can come back and see, guys, I got something, and withdraw from the war without looking like he lost to his people. Donbass too. Yeah, people are saying that. I don't know all the politics around that yet, so I don't really have an opinion on it. But that's Crimea and Donbass, maybe, right? And so the point is, strategic victory. Yeah, exactly, right? Because Putin can't walk away from this with nothing. He can't. And so, the most painless way to do that is to give him an area that they're already controlling legally. Just really, that's how it is. He's too proud. Well, he's effectively a dictator. He's a dictator. And if you're a dictator, your ability to be the controlling force in your country revolves around your ability to be respected and feared among the people that you're ruling over. If you don't bring home the bacon, you get turned into bacon. That's what happens. So he has to come back with something. He's a dictator with nukes and tons of resources and money. He is, but once enough people in his country don't respect him and don't support him, it will also cause all kinds of issues domestically, even if they don't, usurp him. It will cause him a bunch of problems and it will make him look bad. He doesn't want to have that happen, period. Obviously, getting deposed is the worst possible scenario for him, but there are many other negative scenarios that exist in that spectrum.
Under President Trump's sort of pressure or, a suggestion is that, in fact, a Ukraine post-conflict has a right to enter into security agreements with other countries. And we will work with our European allies and non-European countries, by the way, to build such a security guarantee. We're working on that right now. We'll continue to work on that. And that'll be something that'll have to be in place after a peace deal, so that Ukraine can feel safe moving forward. And we're coordinating that as we speak. We're involved in the coordination of it. So, there are a number of countries that are willing to step forward and provide Ukraine security guarantees. But as the Ukrainians have said to us, and I think have said publicly, the strongest security guarantee they can come up with their future is to have a strong...
In my opinion, I think, again, the probability of Trump getting of Putin, I got every single one wrong, of Putin getting something out of this is, in my opinion, 100%. I think that this does not end until he gets some form of territory.
Military moving forward, and that's the other dynamic that's changed. We're no longer giving Ukraine weapons. We're no longer giving Ukraine money. We are now selling them weapons, and European countries are paying for it through NATO. They are using NATO to buy the weapons and transfer them to Ukraine. That's another big change.
Ukraine won't accept that and shouldn't. They will accept it, I think, because he's been killing so many of them. Eventually, they're going to stop. They're going to want to stop dying. Survival is more important than what's wrong or right. He's killing them. He's systematically killing them. He's taking over their cities. He's blowing up their buildings. He's killing all of their soldiers. They will eventually run out of people. They're going to give it up. I agree with you that I don't think that they should. I don't think it's fair. But I think that's what's going to happen.
This war was approached just just under the Biden administration, for example.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the minerals deal is also a nice security guarantee.
And by the way, polling supports what I'm saying.
The Ukrainian people. Were you in the room when the president talked to Vladimir Putin?
I was. Ooh. And in that conversation, what came from it is that, the president suggested that Zelensky and Putin meet. So we're working on that now to try to set that up for them to meet somewhere, which again would be unprecedented. And then if that goes well, hopefully the next meeting will be a meeting between Presidents Putin, Trump, and Zelensky, where we hope to finalize a deal. We're not there yet, but that's what we're aiming towards. And that's one of the things that was discussed today, is how to get to that point.
So Russian war of attrition? Well, here Russia is losing many more men. Again, like I used the example before, I'll use it again. Xerxes' army in 300. The 300 were better soldiers, and they killed more of Xerxes' army than Xerxes' army killed of Spartans. But the 300 died. That's basically, it doesn't matter. Like, if you have an overwhelming force, it doesn't matter if you have a positive KD. Like, you're still going to end up losing. I think that there was another good example. German tanks were way better than American tanks. And I think it was like Germany said, like, yeah, for every one German tank, they could stop 4 American tanks. But we had 5, and we just beat them. That's it. It doesn't matter. Like, even if you can beat somebody 1v1, doesn't make a difference. You just bring in enough people, and you still win.
Just the fact that Putin is saying, sure, I'll meet with Zelensky. That's a big deal. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to leave that room best friends. I'm not saying they're going to leave that room with a peace deal.
Well, I was talking about something different.
But I think the fact that people are now talking to each other, this wasn't happening for 3.5 years. This was a stalemated war of death and destruction. And let me tell you something. This president hates war. And he hates it. He thinks it's a waste of money and a waste of lives. And he has made it a priority, President Trump has, to bring about peace. If he sees an opportunity to step in and broker a peace, he wants to do it. He's been successful already 6 times in 6 months in achieving that. And he wants to achieve it with Ukraine and Russia as well.
So the timeline, it looks ideally, is Vladimir Putin meets with Zelensky, and then President Trump and Zelensky and Vladimir Putin meet, the 3 of them, and hopefully cement some sort of peace deal then. The issue about giving land back seems to be the sticking point.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That's what everybody cares about.
The main sticking point is that Russia wants to keep the land that it's taken militarily. And how do you get around that? What's the negotiation over there?
Yeah, I don't think it's helpful to go into all the details of that.
He's not going to say that. Obviously,
because these negotiations, frankly, work best when they're done privately.
Yeah.
And in our negotiation setting.
Wait, you don't want to do it on national TV on Jesse Waters' primetime, Secretary? I mean, that's just crazy.
No, we'll be more than... When we have a deal, I'll describe it to you for sure. But look, that's why you got to give these guys space to work. I mean, they have their own constituencies, okay? They have their own considerations, and you don't want to give away one side's leverage in that regard. But let me just say this about it. I think everyone understands that some of the key elements to bringing this about is Ukraine has to feel safe moving forward. In essence, they have to believe that at the end of this war, they are in a position to never get invaded again. I think what's also true, and I think it's common sense, and I don't know why it's so hard for a lot of people to understand it, is in any negotiation to bring about the the end of a war, or any conflict for that matter, it's going to require both sides to receive, but also to give. In essence, one side's not going to get 100% here. Each side is going to have to.
Yeah, they're obviously like that. This is 100% what's going to happen. Yeah, for sure.
Make some concessions. And obviously land, or where you draw those lines, where the war stops, is going to be part of that conversation. And it's not easy, and maybe it's not even fair, but it's what it takes in order to bring about an end.
That's crazy. He just says it. Damn. He just fucking says it.
Conversation. And it's not easy, and maybe it's not even fair, but it's what it takes in order to bring about an end to a war. And that's has been true in every war. The only wars that don't end that way are the ones that have unconditional surrender by one side or the other, and we're not going to see that in this.
I can think of one, as far as I know. I could be a little bit wrong on my history for this, but I feel like one of the wars where one of the countries didn't get anything at the end of the war was Germany after World War I. That was not a good time. That didn't end well. That was pretty bad.
Conflict. So obviously the issue of that will be talked about. And the president's been very clear. In the end, what those lines look like are up to Putin and up to Zelensky and up to the Ukrainian side to decide what each one can live with. We are going to be there to facilitate that and make that possible and make sure that both sides are talking. And by the way, President Trump is the only leader in the world, acknowledged by all the Europeans, the only leader in the world that can talk to both of them and bring them both to a meeting is Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States. He's the only one. And the fact that he's willing to do it.
I really wish I had a hype man like Marco Rubio. Honestly, like, this guy is just going to bat for Donald every day. Yeah, like he is. Like, that's like, bro, that to have this as your main guy, best wingman. Yeah, exactly. You got Tectone? Yeah, maybe, right? Yeah.
Thing that every American, including Democrats, should be happy that we have a peace president. We should be proud that we have a president that's made peace a priority in his administration.
Absolutely. And I think Zelensky symbolically already making some concessions because he put on kind of a suit. So that is progress.
It looked good, right?
I think it looked great.
Yeah.
We like to see
great.
it.
Yeah.
Well, great job. And keep up the great work. I know it's tough stuff, but looks like there is a lot of momentum here.
Thank you.
I mean, there it is, right? And crazy how stuck on it's not fair some people are. Well, it's because they think like children. That's the reason why. They think like kids, and they don't understand the consequences of, like what they're saying. That's the reason why. It's just Reddit mentality. I mean, I wouldn't really take it that, it's not fair. It's not fair. Yeah, the world isn't fair. That's the way it goes.